Well, good to have you back with us on the midweek edition of the South African Morning. The illicit cigarette trade is continuing unabated despite efforts by law enforcement to try and stem the tide. That's according to independent market researcher Ipsos, which conducted its fourth investigation this year into the tobacco trade. Remember how bad it was during the hard lockdowns? Well, according to BAT, it's British American Tobacco, South Africa and the lockdown sales ban exacerbated what was already a very troubling situation. So, General Manager Johnny Moloto joining me this morning. Hello to you, Mr. Moloto. I thought once we came into level 1 and level 2, this problem would go away. Clearly, that isn't the case. Why?
Well, we would have hoped for that, Gareth, but, chances were always that, illicit trade was going to get out of control. By his own admission, the commissioner last year in October did state that, these illicit players have further entrenched themselves into the market now and sort of normalized. So it was always going to be a tall order going into this battle. However, we think that the problem could always have been dealt with. This is the fourth study that we've conducted where we point to the same, usual suspects. So you have the same players constantly coming up in these reports, as well as the same brands coming up. So for us, that would have been, a red flag to say that to the authorities, there is something to this. Maybe you need to look at these players. The names are all there. It's all there in the public domain. It just baffles the mind as to why the authorities are not going after these guys.
You mentioned main players. Who can you name for me?
Well, the report, according to the report, since the first study that was done in April, you get Gold Leaf Tobacco, both its South Africa and Zimbabwe subsidiaries, are implicated in this. And you also get Canada, the principal member of the Fair Trade Independent Tobacco Association. You also get some other smaller players like Afrobec and Fowler being mentioned consistently, as well as their brands are consistently mentioned across the four studies.
What does this mean for money lost for the industry? And by money, of course, I mean, Mr. Moloto, how many jobs are at risk in the legal cigarette trade in this country? How much risk are we putting these jobs at?
So you're quite right, Gareth. It's both money as well as livelihoods. If we talk livelihoods, across the value chain, we're talking about 30,000 livelihoods at risk. We've already lost a couple of jobs, thousands of jobs between the ban last year and this year. We ourselves have had to retrench. And if you look at the monetary value of this, for 2021 alone, we're talking almost 20 billion rands lost to the fiscus. This is up from a loss of 7.5 billion last year. So it tells you that the problem is not getting better, but it's only getting worse. And this at a time when all these resources could have gone into, addressing our post-COVID economic recovery.
It could have also gone into helping with the continuous power cuts that we have in the country as well, one might argue. Mr. Moloto, help me understand why you think government didn't listen, because we had this conversation last year, you and I, didn't we? You warned government, if you don't lift the ban on illegal cigarettes, we're going to have this problem in late 2021. And almost in a crystal ball, here you and I sit. Why don't they listen to you? Are they too arrogant?
I think if I think about this, it's about, making policies that are irrational, that clearly South Africa is out of its depth in terms of controlling. So you put very draconian measures in place to try and control a problem that, you've had for years. What would change simply because you have COVID measures as well as the Disaster Management Act that you can piggyback on and take advantage of that when you know clearly that this problem has persisted. And not only that, you're touching on a very, very critical issue that throughout this period, no one would listen, no one would even take a call from us when we caution about the likelihood of what the consequences are going to be if they continue on this path. And up to today, we still don't get a hearing from them. And this problem will persist until they put the measures that are easily to implement. These are actually within their control. As I said to you, the players are known. They have the means within their reach. For example, they have production counters that they should be enforcing, because if they properly enforce that, we shouldn't be finding these products on the market. They should be controlling the borders much more. And also they should be signing onto the illicit trade protocol, which actually they made a commitment to themselves. And we also propose that to deal with this problem so that you help both the consumer and the enforcement authorities, set a minimum price of at least 28 rand, which is at least about 6-7 rands above the minimum collectible tax, so that there's no element of doubt, because even the consumer now think they are getting a good deal, but actually they are also complicit in contributing to this problem by buying products as cheap as 8 rand a pack.
Illicit trade of cigarettes still a major issue in late 2021. Johnny Moloto, General Manager, British American Tobacco, joining us this morning. I thank you, Mr. Moloto, for your time.